better daily, where we work hard in our minds, bodies, and our spirits to become 1% better every single day. Download the app and join our Betterment family at betterdaily.life to catch the video version of these podcasts. Here's your host and my dad, Alex Van Houten.
What is up, Betterment family? This is Alex Van Houten in Better Daily Live, and I am so excited that it's Thursday. Happy Thursday. It's Word Thursday, and today the word is oxytocin. Oxytocin is a fun one and a little nerdy, but hang with me. I think you'll find it enjoyable and productive. Good morning, Robin. Good to see you this morning. So oxytocin, it's actually a word that describes a neurotransmitter. There are several circuits in the brain that require different chemicals to activate them, and oxytocin is one of those chemicals that activates neural circuits. Good morning, Katie. I'm excited to see you this morning. So oxytocin is, I'm gonna talk about oxytocin and try not to be super nerdy about it and draw a distinction between the two. And this isn't out of left field. This has been on my mind because of something my wife did yesterday. So if you caught us for the Wildcard Wednesday yesterday, my editor actually had to cut out that last little bit because just as I was signing off with you guys, she walked in the door with Bennett and said, "Honey, I'm home and I have a surprise for you." And so I caught that on the live and exited and whatnot. And then I came out and she was holding a puppy. She was holding a little black lab puppy about 6 to 8 weeks old. And I'm like, "Honey, why do you have a puppy in your hands?" Because my wife is the compassionate bleeding heart for every animal that needs a hand. And we have many times in the past found homes for puppies and grabbed a dog that was, somewhere wandering around in the neighborhood and called their owner and brought it home and stuff. She's that lady, and I love her compassionate heart for that. But I was like, whoa, man, this is kind of a wrench in the Wednesday. And so we've been spending the past 24 hours with this little puppy, nursing it back to health, deworming it and feeding it and all that stuff. And one of the things you might not know about animals, or maybe you do, is that petting a dog or petting a cat can actually release some oxytocin, the neurotransmitter called oxytocin. Oxytocin is the neurotransmitter that is also released when you give somebody you love a hug, right? It's also the neurotransmitter that's released when a woman bears a child and sees the baby. There's a huge flood of oxytocin that points the mother's mind to the baby. And dad gets to be chopped liver for about 1.5 years or so because dad gets oxytocin with regard to the baby. When he plays with the child, when he makes them smile and throws them up in the air and tickles them and slams them on the couch, when they're of sufficient age, not 3 months or anything. My boys have strong abs, what can I say? So oxytocin is a powerful neurotransmitter, and there's a lot of research and interest in what it actually does, because one of the things that oxytocin does is it counteracts cortisol. Cortisol is our stress hormone, and when we have a lot of cortisol in our system, we can be anxious, our blood pressure goes up, our heart rate goes up, our ability to regulate blood sugar actually goes down. Cortisol can cause midsection belly fat gain, it can cause anxiety, it can cause sleep disruption, it can also cause several other hormone systems down the line to be depleted. Cortisol actually pulls from the resources that things like testosterone and estrogen and even thyroid hormone require in order to be built in the body. So if your stress levels are really high, then many of the other hormone systems can be negatively affected, because at the end of the day, stress is a wonderful adaptation to keep you from getting eaten by a mountain lion or to make you take action when normally you wouldn't. And so that's powerful. But when stress is the primary thing happening, other hormone systems aren't really priority. They don't matter so much to the body. As I've said in the past, if you're being chased by a mountain lion, your body's not too concerned about making babies right now, or growing fingernails or hair or digesting your food, right? So that said, oxytocin is being studied very powerfully right now and very robustly and with a lot of focus because of its ability to reduce our stress levels. And you might wonder, what does that have to do with anything? Why does that matter? So oxytocin might reduce my stress level, so I need to get hugs more often. Thanks, Alex. That was really insightful. But it's deeper than that, because what we're finding from a research perspective is that oxytocin is two things. It's a dopamine regulator, which we'll talk about in a second, and it is the connector of relationships. It creates your in-group. It creates your family, your friends, the group of people that you trust and care about. It's the neurotransmitter that solidifies that in your own mind. So a question for you. Who are your people? Who is your person? And answering those two questions is actually something that oxytocin is doing every day for you. And who those people are and how many of them you have and whether or not you have any at all can actually affect your stress. So it's not necessarily that getting a hug reduces stress as oxytocin goes up. What actually is happening is the bond that you have with the individual that you're giving a hug, or the puppy that you're petting, or the person you're talking to on the phone from your family group or your in-group. As oxytocin's going up and making that bond stronger, you become less stressed because you're not alone. And that is very powerful. Because one of the things that I care about, and this is the whole dopamine regulation thing, one of the things that I care about here in Better Daily, and one of the reasons that I founded this and launched an application and am growing a community around the ethos of becoming 1% better every single day, one of the things that I really care about is that much of our screen time interactions with individuals are dopamine driven rather than oxytocin driven. What I mean by that is the many social media companies out there, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, what they're doing is, because it's a free application, because it's a free thing, it has to pay for itself somehow. How does it pay for itself? Well, it pays for itself with your attention. And so these applications are heavily researched and heavily programmed to capture your attention. The dings and the blips and the likes and the mad faces and the angry comments and the ads and all those things are designed to keep you there, keep you scrolling, keep you coming back for that dopamine hit. And dopamine's not a bad neurotransmitter by any means. It's the motivation neurotransmitter. If you're hungry and there's an apple tree 100 yards away, you get a little hit of dopamine that says, hey, go toward that apple tree. And the closer you get to the apple tree, the more dopamine you get, right? But the problem with dopamine is once you get there and you grab the apple and you take a bite of it, it all goes away. You've been motivated to this action and now it's done. Now it's over with. No more motivation. Right? Because you're full, you've gotten what you need. And the problem with dopamine-driven screen time is we never get everything we need, and we have nothing to show for it, right? Because when you are on Facebook for 10 hours in a week, or you're on Instagram for a few hours in a day, or you're on Twitter for 10 minutes, what did you actually get from it? What did you actually receive? What was the lasting impact on your life? Well, with dopamine as a neurotransmitter is not designed for that. You get motivated so you can get the food and then, now I've got my food and I can live to fight another day. I'll probably need some more dopamine tomorrow. But when it comes to our social interactions with people, when it comes to our ability to have great conversations and to care about people and to feel connected such that it reduces our stress level and to feel inspired to continue those interactions and relationships, when that's a part of the equation, that's oxytocin. And I believe that it's very, very possible that our screen time interactions with people, our virtual interactions with people, could actually be heavier on the oxytocin side of things and lower on the dopamine side of things. And what would happen is a lower level of anxiety, a lower level of depression, and very, very real, very literally, a lower level of cortisol in the world at large. Now, I'm not saying that social media is a terrible evil and all of the things that are going wrong in the world today can be traced back to it. But what I am saying is that I recognize that what we do here in Better Daily is in direct competition with the time and attention that the other social media companies are vying for. And I'm very, very interested in this idea of, is it even possible to build a virtual community of people who truly care about each other, who also are interested in what's going on in each other's lives? And not only that, not only like, oh, wow, I hope you're doing well. It would be great if you continued moving forward on your journey. But not only that, that being involved in another person's life like that makes us feel needed and wanted and helps us to progress forward in our own journey. So, for instance, this year I launched in Better Daily a goal of mine, which has been the Run 100. My goal was to run 100 times this year before the end of the year. And right now I'm scheduled today to run 87. So I've got 13 more before the end of 2022. And that was a particular goal of mine. You could almost say it was dopamine driven. I'm going to run 100 times. Why? Well, it's hard for me to run. It represents my ability to maintain my cardiovascular fitness and the integrity of my joints and tendons. Even though I have a lot of genetic reasons why that's hard for me and why it's difficult, this would represent a win for me. So I put that out there. I'm gonna do this. And what was crazy is in a group like this, where everybody who's here is trying to become better in some form or fashion, and is not only trying to become better, but is trying to become better for the long haul. When I put that forward in this group, there were several people who joined me in that endeavor. They're like, hey, I'll run 100 with you, Alex. I think that would be good for me too. And what's crazy is there have been several times this year, not every time, but several times, where I just did not want to run, man. I just did not. But I thought, I can't let my run team down. I'm going to get this run in. I'm going to give that thumbs up picture. I'm going to be honest and say this wasn't an easy one, but I'm going to do it because I'm connected to a group of people who want to see me successful and who are inspired by my continued success. And that is the power of oxytocin. Oxytocin will inspire you. It will make you feel needed. It will make you feel loved. And it will make you feel connected. And because of those things, our stress levels come down. And when our stress levels come down, we can be a version of ourselves that's not looking for a easy fix, an easy way out, a craved release. Our time horizons start to expand. And, well, I hope from a betterment perspective, that lowered stress allows you a greater opportunity to be more of who you actually are rather than who you are in a stressed out version of you. So that's the word oxytocin. I am so thankful to all of you here in Better Daily who are willing to try this experiment with me. And not only try it, you have made it real. There are so many cool relationships that have come out of what we're doing right now, and so many people have told me that this has been inspiring to them in a life-changing way. So I want to say keep up the good work. This is definitely against the tide. It's against the grain of the way the rest of the world works right now. It's amazing to me that you guys have invested in this and that you're willing to make your screen time an oxytocin thing rather than a dopamine thing. So thank you guys so much. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you noticed the difference? Better Daily is not addictive like other social media platforms might be, or at least not in the same way. And I would love to hear what you think about that. What has been your experience in this social media, quote unquote, based on oxytocin rather than dopamine? And how can we make that better? Because that's what we're about. John, thank you for joining me, man. And thank you, KT. It has been a pleasure to lead this as well as I can. I'm not perfect, but I'm working on being better every day. Guys, thank you so much for joining me here on Word Thursday with the word oxytocin. I know it was a little nerdy, but you hung with me well. Tomorrow is Flex Friday, and you can call me Coach because we're going to go through an awesome exercise movement to help you on your 1% betterment journey through exercise. Until then, it's just 1%. You got this.
Thank you for joining us for your 1% Better today. Don't forget to subscribe for the podcast. Leave us a raving review to tell others how Better Daily has helped you in your journey. If you want more Better Daily, download our app and join our Betterment family at betterdaily.live. Use code POD to get 25% off your subscription. That's POD, all caps, to save 25% on your subscription. We all have a cross to carry. It's lighter when we do it together. Go to betterdaily.live today.